That chain of events, the blacks then had to take a stand on something, and the issue was murder.
I realized that it was just they were fighting for the right to being able to walk down the street and be equal just like anybody else.
I'm not just gonna let you get away with doing anything to me and expect me to like it. And my stand is to fight back.
Seems like I'm heading for a meltdown. Come to my rescue.
We were having an Indian summer. It was warm that day.
We were, out in front of the house playing like little kids do, and we heard tires squealing and saw a guy in a stolen car, and he's just, wheeling it around the schoolyard and doing donuts and stuff like this. At that time, it was real exciting because he was too young to be driving. Police cruisers came into the schoolyard. I can remember him doing a donut and heading toward the south end of the schoolyard and slamming on the brakes, and the car ran into one of the school benches, and he jumped out and took off running. And he went to jump off the top of this little hill, and I heard the gun crack, and I saw the body contort. They shot him, but they shot him in the back. Mind you, I was a kid then, so I really didn't understand all the grumbling and the anger and stuff like this. I made the connection that, well, he stole a car, he did something wrong, but they didn't have to kill him.
It was as if a war had broken out on San Francisco's city streets.
I can hear my mom on the phone talking about a riot, and it's like, what is going on? And then my brother, he says, he goes down to 3rd Street and he said the National Guard is out there, and I can still visualize all the helicopters. I remember the police cars and paddy wagons that was going back.
A lot of fire trucks. Coming from everywhere. A lot of police sirens and stuff like this.
Shots were fired around the Opera House, which was just down the street from my school.
A whole lot of black people gathered in the streets, and they were shouting, "Piggy Wiggy, ooh, you gotta go now." Oink, oink.
It was just a mess. It really was. It really was a mess.
I've been in Bayview for 48 years. My parents purchased a home here the month before I was born.
My dad was in the Navy.
My dad was in the military.
He was a porter on the Southern Pacific Railroad. 1964, when they came out here and bought the house, there were very few places that would allow blacks to move. But finally, I was someplace where I can run up and down the street and have a big backyard, and I was just so happy. I was just so happy in the Bayview.
3rd Street was a beautiful place. We didn't even have to go out of the community basically for anything. Everything we needed was right there. Remember, it was such a thrill to have a quarter and being able to go to 3rd Street to the penny candy store.
Half of the counter was full of candy. And it would just be so fun to go down there and just pick up all the candy you want. Everybody would come home and do their homework, and if it was a nice day, somebody would try to talk their parent into hanging outside. If we had one parent outside, everybody was able to stay out. And sometimes one parent would fix hot dogs and chips, or one parent would fix French fries and maybe a sandwich, and we all shared it together. And we would get on somebody's stairs, or we would sit in the driveway and just sit down and eat and have fun.
The demographics then, when we moved in 64 here, was very diverse. White, black, we had an Asian family that they still lived down there.
And all of this was Russian and Italian when we moved down here. Russian, Italian, probably a few Chinese, but no Hispanics.
Didn't feel any type of racial tension. Really didn't at all. At least I didn't. Everybody was just so nice. I can still look around and think about, I probably went into everybody's house on this whole entire block. Things were so different. If you as a child was rude to someone or another neighbor saw that you were doing something, they would go and tell your parents, but then they would spank you, and then
you went home and got disciplined. You get disciplined at school, you walk down the street and somebody in the middle of the block, what you doing going home at this time of day? You got in trouble with them, you got in trouble with who's at home, and then you might even get in trouble when your daddy came home.
The stores that were down on 3rd Street, I didn't even think anything about walking down 3rd Street. We would go shopping down 3rd Street all the time, walk down there, never worried about anything really happening. It was really a nice place to shop. They had some.
One family on the other block, they would get tickets for the Giants, and we would pack up a lunch, and we would go walking off to Candlestick. And then the thing about it, it wasn't just African American children. We had all nationalities, all religions, but we had a good time.
You have to remember the shipyard was still open too. And you had the Navy that was down there. You would hear in the morning, you could actually hear the trumpets with revelry and taps in the evening at 10 o'clock, and just sailors all over the place. Just all over the place. Sometimes you couldn't even get a seat on the bus because it was just packed with the sailors. So I thought that was cool too, how we had the Navy.
After the riots, most of the business owners start moving out immediately. They got the glasses back into place pretty quick, but as I can remember, a few places stayed empty.
Mainly after the '66 riot, that's when the white flight took and people moved down to the peninsula, mainly to escape from here. And that's when Bayview really got a bad reputation. And it was that nobody cared. Nobody cared at all, and I felt it was so sad to walk down 3rd Street or drive down 3rd Street and see all these abandoned places, and nobody cared anymore. People just packed up and they left. Some of the places, they're still there, but they've changed over the years. They've changed owners. We had, at 3rd and Palouse, we had Rexall Drug Store. We had, oh God, what was that? It was like a 5 and dime store. It was just all these cute little boutiques and places that you could go in and
with
buy.
The riots and stuff, they basically was just highlight the injustices. Some of my best friends back then were white, so it really messed me up. All of that to me kind of like shaped me, and as a child, into the teenager that I would want to
So
become.
many Maltese out here too, and that was sad too to see them move. They used to have their social club on Oakdale.
I remember there's one kid that happened to be down there. It was a good friend of mine named Michael Wilson. Ended up getting caught up in that mess, and he was only 6 or 7, but he was down on 3rd Street with the rest of them, And I can only wonder today if that has anything to do with him, being in and out of prison like myself.
People that wore uniforms, like even like mailmen, anybody that was in a uniform, they took it as like that they're the cops or something, that you don't belong here type of thing.
Somewhere around there or shortly after, and so they would bus in children from other neighborhoods over and tell us.
When I got old enough to move away, I left when I was 17, as soon as I graduated. I was just so happy to get away from here.
The mentality of the people is totally different now than it was back then, where we'd look out for you. If we saw you every day, then you'd have somebody looking out for you. Now people especially in the Bayview, really don't care because they see a crime happen. A lot of them look the other way. Oh well, that's the way it is, you know. So there's no genuine love and care anymore.
I hated this place so much. Just hated it. Because of everything that happened in the past and that all the violence.
Gonna be more trouble tonight?
I don't know if it's gonna be more trouble. And if I did know, I wouldn't say. Because I don't think that I wouldn't trust a white man long as I live. Never again. I know I gotta go to him for a job. I know I gotta go to a white man's school. All right, I'll go. But if they don't want to treat me right, I ain't got to beg. Because I wasn't accustomed to begging. I got pride.
I think that the kids that did it, they had so much anger anyway simmer inside of them. I don't think it would have been something that could have been avoided. It was just too many deep-rooted anger that I think that if it wasn't that, it would have been something else. I think it would have been something else. But yeah, I kind of wish that they would have found a more constructive way of going about things. I mean, didn't they... I mean, Martin Luther King was still alive at that time. It's like, didn't they even pay attention to anything that he said, you know? He would have never consented to that thought. So, but what I would have hoped to happen is that it never happened.
If you have suffered some of the things that we suffered as a people, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be equal on, and we're going to stand and we're going to support each other. I don't think the law is always right because there's an element of humanity there. I mean, what is morally right? Not according to the law, but by human beings.
Watch this, Lord. Me all a respect to all the gunman them. Gunman alone keep gunman friend. Fire burn for all the informer them. Informer alone keep informer friend.
1970 something, nigga, I don't sweat the day. My mom was late, so I had to plan my escape out the schemes. In this world, the fly girls. And the ray of Hennessy until I call Earl. 10 months in this gut, what the fuck? I wish